Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, Kaiserreich as the German Empire. Now, last time we were here together, well, we started getting a little bit of warning signs on the state of the economy and the German stock market. It's not looking so hot right now. I'm not going to lie to you all. In fact, it's looking pretty unstable, but I'm sure things will stable themselves out, and we'll just be alright. I'm not worried at all, no sir. In the Frankfurter Zeitung, Walter von Rathenau has repeated his call for action, demanding the government to impose a week-long temporary bank holiday from Monday, February 3rd onwards, which would take the heat off an overheated market and allow tension in the air to cease. News proposal reached the president of the Reichsbank, Hjalmar Schacht, who forwarded the proposal to Chancellor Herbert von Dexen. The two statesmen consequently spent the weekend trying to organize an emergency response to an impending economic collapse. Meanwhile, a meeting of the Reichstag's party leaders on Saturday was fruitless, however. Though the parliamentary leaders all agreed on the necessity to act decisively, they disagreed on their specifics, and ultimately the two largest opposition leaders, Hermann Müller of the SPD and Ulrich von Hassel of the DVLP, were anticipating an economic downfall, as the blame for it would not fall upon them, but especially on the LVP, DKP, Zentrum, and the Chancellor. In the end, stating that getting a few plutocrats bankrupt might just leave Germany better off. Müller accused the March coalition of creating the conditions for the crash in the first place and ended the meeting. Desperate and disheartened by the political impasse, Schacht chose to act independently. On Sunday, the Reichsbank published a note declaring that access to credit with the Reichsbank will henceforth be based on their primary coverage ratio, and temporarily suspended the Reichsmark's convertibility to gold. His goal was to bring long-term stability to the market by minimizing the damage done to the banks in a stock market crash. But on the last day before Monday, it had a sown terror in the market and neutered the role of the Reichsbank as a lender of last resort. Let's hope Monday only brings good news. Oh, fuck. On the 3rd of February, 1936, the Berlin Stock Exchange stopped sinking. It plunged. Fueled by the instability of the market, panic selling erupted as soon as the stock market opened on Monday morning. It took well into the night for the teleprinters to stop sputtering out the results of what had become known as Black Monday. When the results had been analyzed, it was clear the situation had only gotten worse. The shock of this unprecedented economic catastrophe will, no doubt, be felt over the entire world. The German Golden Age has ended. For now, at least. Mein Gott. So, the Christmas spike is looking a lot shittier right now. And the SPD and the DVLP are going to get some extra seats, it looks like. Would you look at that? I'm going to take my jacket off real quick. And then, yeah. Hope you all are doing alright today out there. How long has it been since the last time I recorded this? The 9th. About 3 days. I haven't uploaded this yet. Oh, Jesus. Every 10 days, the effects of economic crisis triggered by Black Monday market crash will escalate until it finally reaches the lowest plateau. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Wow. Revolution sweeps Russia? How can things get any worse? Not the commies. Not the dirty fucking commies. Oh, sorry. The dirty fucking Cindy's. Sorry. A nationwide media frenzy has broken down the aftermath of recent market crash. The belief that Germany's golden era is over once and for all is undisputed. Enormous consequences will ensue economically and politically, some sooner than others. In a dimly lit office at the Prussian War Ministry, inside Berlin's deepest political machinations, one man is restlessly drawing upon a damage limitation plan. The young and ambitious Minister of War, Kurt von Schleicher. For some, Schleicher who has been in charge of his ministry for roughly 4 years, is merely a stereotypical office general, a diligent pen pusher without noteworthy frontline experience. Others, however, see him as a gray eminence, a puppet master of easily controllable statesmen nominally above him, an assumption that is not awfully wrong. Indeed, Schleicher is among the empire's most influential men. His political wit, ability to compromise, and enormous sway, both on civilian and military affairs, have opened him many doors throughout the early 30s, together with his ties to all kinds of influential figures, from trade unionists to the Crown Prince himself. In 1934, he put his influence to use during one of the most severe diplomatic incidents in recent German history, the Lake Uban crisis, during a diplomatic standoff with Russia. He managed to sideline his war hawk opponents of the general staff and indirectly enforce both the appointment of a chief of staff, more loyal to his own pragmatic political agenda, as well as the dismissal of Reich Chancellor Bernsdorf in favor of the easily controllable diplomat Herbert von Dirksen. Consequently, by 1936, Schleicher's sway both on the military and civilian governments is considerable. Black Monday, however, threatens that influence, only the latest of many disasters during Dirksen's 15-month tenure. It is made apparent that the Reich Chancellor's days are numbered. Opportunists on the right and left have begun to prepare for the final strike against the ailing establishment. Maybe it's time for the biggest schemer of all time to take matters into his own hands, instead of delegating responsibilities to innate puppets. The ringmaster enters the circus. Finding themselves under increasing greater compromise, Zentrum branches in competitive regions such as Silesia, Westphalia, and Hanover have been struggling to maintain their ground against popular social democratic and right-wing candidates. To relieve this disparity, Zentrum candidates and party branches have begun independently making deals with local parties to unite behind a common candidate in competitive districts and thus increase their chance of victory. In Hanover, Zentrum has renewed its historical cooperation with the German Hanoverian Party, commonly known as the Gulf Party, or Welfen. A regionalist political party created after the annexation of the Kingdom of Hanover, it generally sat with Zentrum in the pre-war Reichstag. However, the post-war years have seen it experience a sharp decline. The Gulf conservative federalism has struggled in the post-war environment, and losing their last lease of life might just prove to be the end of the party. On the other side of the empire, Zentrum members in Posen have begun expanding their collaboration with Polish autonomists, particularly those closer to the CHZJN in proper. Unlike in Hanover, the Polish ethnic constituencies have not lost its potency, although it still needs to compete with the anti-Polish electoral pacts in mixed constituencies. For them, much like for the Welfen, Zentrum is a natural ally as they're both ideologically conservative and concerned with maintaining the federal model of the state, with hope of decentralizing it further, against centralist encroachment from left and right alike. Not everyone in Zentrum subscribes to the idea of tagging along with a flock of weak-minded parties, however. Gulf. You know what? Zentrum defends federalism. Why not? Oh, Jesus, fuck. The Darmstädter und Nationalbank, or Donaubank, is the first major casualty of the Black Monday financial crisis. The second largest bank in the German Empire, it went deep into high-risk loans prior to 1936, offering quick and easy loans to would-be stockbrokers and growing companies, and now reaps consequences. One of these companies, which has been severely indebted to the Donaubank, was Norddeutsche Wolfkammerei und Kammgarnspinnerei, or Nordwolle, a wool and worsted processing plant in Delmenhorst. Much like the hundreds of other companies, it announced its bankruptcy in the aftermath of the crash, having barely stayed afloat for the past several years and finally received a blow which would make the plant insolvent. News of Nordwolle's bankruptcy caused a bank run on Donaubank, as many investors were fearful of their bank's future and rapidly pulled their savings while they can still get their money's worth. As Donaubank had failed to reach its primary coverage ratio for the past several years due to its speculative loaning practices, it could not be saved by the Reichsbank in this moment of crisis, and so was forced to declare bankruptcy as well. The collapse of this old and respected bank has sent terrifying tremors across the German banking system. Across his empire, investors and citizens alike are withdrawing their savings and retreating from the market. Banks are collapsing one after another, caught completely unprepared by the enormous crash, and the financial system of the empire has been left completely crippled. Oh, this is a nightmare. Oh, God. Oh, it's getting worse. Well, we've expanded colonial budgets, at least. God knows they're going to need that. Um... Um... Let's work. Let's work on the Prittwitz plan. Ambassador of the United States, Friedrich Wilhelm von Prittwitz und Gaffron, has noted the deplorable economic and social situation in America and has predicted that vast conflict may break out across the Union soon if nothing is done to stop it. Per that, he has drafted a plan for an interest-free loan to the U.S. which will aid their economic recovery and curtail socialist growth. Oh, Jesus. Having earned the attention of the public with his accurate prediction of the Black Monday stock market crash, Walter von Rathenau has not stopped there. Instead, in the aftermath of Black Week and the onset of the greatest economic crisis Germany has faced since the Weltkrieg, he has pushed an 11-page document for a full-scale reform of the economic system. This document has been proliferated across parties and major newspapers. Those well-read could tell this document was a summary and somewhat moderate implementation of Rathenau's ideas in his 1919 work, Neue Wirtschaft, the New Economy, and mirrors the economic reforms he pursued during the Solf and Asperger governments as Secretary of the Economy. A firm believer in his economic program, Rathenau believes that the Black Monday is a perfect opportunity to pursue a full economic reform. The powers of the government in economic management must be greatly expanded in wartime offices for the control of the economic affairs, and distribution of resources must be restored. As permanent institutions, Rathenau sees economic planning as compatible with the free market. State intervention will be able to harmonize the market, prevent waste of resources, and most importantly, combat the alienation of millions of factory workers employed in dull, mundane jobs across Germany. While he does not propose it in his economic program, yet, Rathenau dreams of a utopian classless society which will free workers from the soulless labor. The mundanity of his work cannot be resolved with socialist programs of wage raises or shorter hours. A complete restructuring is necessary. Through a panacea, Arbeitsausgleich, or equalization of work, menial and mental hours mental workers would switch offices for factories and factories for offices, a few hours every day, and would be able to find their calling somewhere in a vast society of choice. Classes would dissolve, all work would be open according to talent, and mundanity of work would cease. But for now, economic planning will suffice. Interesting programs. Anything that'll get us out. Oh, wow. First, I have never seen an event like this pop up. This is usually a general thing. But wow. Huh. It had been anticipated ever since late last year, but it finally arrived thanks to the Black Monday market crash. Not long after that day in February, Reich Chancellor Herbert von Dirksen announced his resignation, offering little comments to the press or the members of the Reichstag. Though a competent diplomat, Dirksen's composure and character of a vain, pompous aristocrat left him isolated in high politics, and he never managed to shake off the veneer of being a royal appointment, less legitimate than partisan chancellors in the post-March German Empire. His vice-chancellor, Heinrich Brüning, refused to seek the Kaiser's appointment as next Reichskanzler. After the Black Monday crisis, the office has become a poison chalice. Seeking little initiative from the parties of the Reichstag, Wilhelm II appointed the current minister-president of Prussia, Siegfried von Roedern, as the new Reichskanzler. An elder civil servant with years of experience in the federal and Prussian governments alike, he currently heads a nonpartisan government of the center and right in Prussia, staffed with right-wing politicians and nonpartisan professionals. Though his government is not planning to survive the April election, it has a lot on its plate regardless. Roedern's preference is to assemble a nonpartisan emergency cabinet, staffed mainly by civil servants he relied upon in Prussia, and promulgate emergency economic controls. This Prussian lockdown, the federal government is bound to go poorly with the state. However, an alternative approach would be to keep Brüning as vice-chancellor and work with the Reichstag. Brockdorff could forge a grand coalition after the dramatic 1924 elections, so perhaps Roedern could replicate the same feat. Training time, let's see. March Coalition, von Brodern Cabinet. Also get the social liberals in if we do this. Social conservatives, social liberals. Perhaps he can restore the Grand Coalition. Maybe, I don't know. Oh, scheisse. As the end of February dawns, the Reichsbank and the state institutions have finally begun making the first action towards stabilizing the free-falling markets. A bank holiday has been established and emergency bailouts for keystone banks that survived the initial crash have been sent out, though all of these states' actions so far have been kept at a minimum. The Reichstag remains deadlocked and the election is approaching soon. By now, however, the damage has already been done. The financial sector crippled and the national economic system trembling, demand for German exports has collapsed, and companies across Germany are forced to either declare insolvency or drastically cut costs. For almost all industries, this means relieving workers, many of them, and the number of unemployed who've been cast out of the streets is now in the millions. The Bauer-Geisbutz labor reforms of 25 established a system of unemployment insurance for German workers, and thus a meager pension allows the unemployed to make ends meet somewhat, but this has taxed the already struggling finances of the empire greatly. And in numerous cases, the impact of the crash has been a lot more tragic. Stock market brokers who had lost everything the past few weeks, struggling artisans who had refined their humble careers for decades and saw their lives' ambitions crash these days, all have taken a liking to ending their lives, and state police forces have been forced to patrol bridges more and more often. The government must intervene and do something. The beginning of the economic crisis, sparked by the Black Monday market crash, has given fuel to anti-Semitic agitation and even a handful of outbreaks of violence across Germany. In local legislatures, right-wing deputies, generally those belonging to the DVLP, have proposed taxation of Jewish businesses or boycotts of Jewish goods, while Jewish citizens in the cities have had to cope with suspicion and constant libel from right-wing newspapers. The Jewish population in Germany has historically been more integrated than their peers in the former Russian Empire, and have gifted Germany with numerous scientists, politicians, cultural figures, and war veterans. However, suspicion and mistreatment of them remains to this day. The Black Monday market crash was difficult to comprehend for many German citizens, and decades of propaganda espousing an international Jewish finance or conspiracy did not make it difficult for the most downtrodden to connect these two events, thus claiming that the German Jews were somehow responsible for the market crash. Aggressive DVLP agitation during the 36 electoral campaign, which often played upon these anti-Semitic fears, helped escalate them even further. The Jewish population is not completely helpless, however. Organizations such as the Central Verein have consistently fought anti-Semitism in Germany through legal means, and have already begun documenting and reporting instances of this outbreak, while providing support for Jewish citizens who have been defamed or were injured by anti-Semitic attacks. This needs to be stopped. Founded in the early 20th century, the Deutsche Kaiserreich Abyssinian Eisenbank, DKAEB, is a holding company that oversees the railway between Addis Ababa in Ethiopia and Djibouti. After a series of German-backed expansions, the line is now used to transport ore from the Congo Basin to Djibouti. The current economic downturn means that ore is not being bought at the same rate as before, resulting in fewer transports to the company. As a result, the bank. As a result, the bank is struggling financially, and some members have approached the government in Dar es Salaam to share the supply shares through the German government. Something has to be done to prevent Ethiopia from slipping out of our grasp. And prop up the company. Ethiopia, I believe, can be added to the Reichspakt, and I'd rather have a friendly Ethiopia than a possibly upset Somalia. Reichskanzler Rodern only enjoyed a majority in the Reichstag for a very short amount of time. Even though he presided over a diverse coalition of liberals, Catholic conservatives in Prussia for years, his skills were non-applicable on the national level. Ultimately, his efforts to revive the March coalition turned out fruitless. The LVP and Zentrum delegations of the Prussian House of Representatives are known for being much more conservative than their national counterparts, with the liberals being strongly influenced by the national liberalism, and the Prussian Zentrum being dominated by right-wing agrarians such as Franz von Papen. In the Reichstag, however, little consensus could be found between the liberals and the Catholics on the one side and the conservative right on the other. After a few failed interfaction meetings on fiscal reform and war creation programs, the LVP finally withdrew from the coalition, denying the Reichskanzler his majority. The DVLP capitalized upon the situation in the Reichstag and took advantage of it in their electoral campaign, denouncing divided partisanship which paralyzes the German government while men will suffer, and demanding a government of action, not wards ruling by strength, not committee. As the current government is indeed paralyzed, these calls have resonated with many across the nation. At this point, will we even find a government come April? That makes me wonder, actually. If I went with the other option, which yes, I'm about to do right now, this video will be a little longer than it usually is. Hope you all enjoy that. Oh, my timer's over. Stop that. Revolution sweeps Russia. I'm pissing myself at this. Defend federalism. Nightmare. Prifits. You know, Germany needs a responsible cabinet above party politics. That's what I'm saying, at least. Mass layoffs. That civilian and military factory hits kills me. This needs to be stopped. Prop up the company. Okay. That is interesting. I guess this is probably what we want to do anyway, so we'll do with that. The formation of Roder's nonpartisan government was taken as an affront by Germany's numerous federal states, especially in the south. Bavaria, Württemberg, and Baden viewed the formation of a government dominated by Prussian officials with extreme suspicion. Their governments, mainly led by Zentrum and the LVP, also did not appreciate their respective parties being shut out of government by the Reichskanzler. The result was that in the Bundesrat, Germany's upper house, composed of representatives of its member states, hostile majorities formed against the Reichskanzler, composed of sovereign states and numerous minor states, will have joined the protests against the Reichskanzler. Though Zentrum and the LVP lead the attack against the Reichskanzler, it was the SPD who benefited in the election polls the most. Their campaign in the Reichstag's delegation took advantage of the political drama to protest the bureaucratization of the government. I cannot say that word for some reason. And the growing trend of lacking Reichskanzler accountability for the Reichstag, which spells out the necessity for firmer democratic reform in the empire. At this point, will you ever find a government come April? We'll have to find that out next time. I'm leaving it there, folks. But thanks always for watching. Like, so if you like, dislike, didn't leave any comments, feedback down in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I appreciate any all feedback you might have for me. Check out my various links down in the description box below. I think you all know the deal by now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye now.